The trail was never meant to be as dangerous as it became that day. Tourists walked it constantly, camera phones out, wind whipping through their hair, the Pacific stretching endlessly below. The Pali Puka Trail in Oahu was known for its breathtaking views and its unforgiving edges. One wrong step, and there was nothing beneath you but air. On the morning of March 24th, 2025, Arielle Konig stepped onto that trail with her husband. By the end of the hike, she would be fighting for her life. From the outside looking in, their life looked stable. Successful careers, children, a home in Hawaii. Arielle, a nuclear engineer, worked remotely. Her husband, a respected anesthesiologist, held a position of trust, someone who literally controlled the line between life and death. But behind closed doors, things were unraveling. Arielle later admitted to what she described as an emotional affair, something that fractured the foundation of her marriage. What followed wasn't healing, it was control. According to her testimony, her husband began monitoring her communications, checking her messages, tracking her interactions. But still, they didn't separate. Instead, they tried to fix what was a broken marriage. They went to counseling, had numerous conversations, and eventually decided to take a trip together. It was a birthday getaway, a chance to reset and refresh their marriage. Arielle was still hopeful things would get better. She had no idea that the trip would end with her fighting for her life. The Pali Puka Trail is a short, thrilling, and unmaintained ridge hike on Oahu, Hawaii that leads to a natural puka, the Hawaiian word for hole in the cliffside. Located at the Nuuanu Pali Lookout, it offers breathtaking panoramic views of the windward coast. The walk itself is approximately a 1-mile round trip, typically taking the average person around 45 minutes to an hour. The hike begins in a dense bamboo forest with a steep uphill climb. Once you make it to the ridge, the trail can become extremely narrow. Along the ridge, there are vertical drops of over 700 feet on either side. In many sections, you can choose to either walk directly on exposed ridgeline or take a safer path within the tree line. To add to the thrills, the Pali area is famous for its powerful trade winds, which can make narrow ridge sections even more treacherous. On March 24th, the couple walked together along the ridge. There was wind, silence, and distance from everyone else. Then, something changed. Arielle would later tell the court there was no warning, no argument that escalated, just a sudden shift. Her husband grabbed her and began pushing her backward towards the edge. She was roughly 10 feet from the cliff, 10 feet between life and death. She resisted, tried to stabilize herself, tried to understand what was happening. Then came the words that would define the moment. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's coming to save you. The attack didn't stop at the cliff. According to Arielle's testimony, her husband pulled out a syringe and vial. And at this point, I'm going to now let Arielle herself describe what happened.
When I walk up to him, then he grabbed me really forcefully by my upper arms, and he said, "I'm so sick of this. Get back over there." And he starts pushing me back towards the cliff.
While the defendant was grabbing you and pushing you, what did you do?
I was surprised. It felt almost like he was kidding at first, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But he had grabbed me really hard and was moving me. So we kind of wrestled a little bit, and I threw myself onto the ground because there's a lot of trees and shrubs there so that I could hold on.
As you threw yourself to the ground, how did the defendant respond?
Well, he got on top of me, and he was kind of trying to pull me, and we're wrestling, and he ended up straddling me, so he had his legs on either side, kind of across my waist.
Once the defendant was on top of you, what did he do next?
So he was first trying to pull me, try to get me closer to the cliff. And again, I could kind of hold on to the roots and stuff that were around us. And then he had a backpack that he was hiking with. And he, like I said, he's on top of me. And he had a syringe in his hand. And he says, hold still. And I see the syringe and I just kind of like bat it away from us both.
When you first saw that syringe in his hand, did you actually see where it came from?
I didn't see where it came from, though.
Once you were able to bat the syringe away onto the ground, what did the defendant do next?
So he had taken his backpack off and it was on the ground to his left, so kind of to the right side of my body here. And he was digging in that with his left hand and then kind of holding me down with his right hand. And I'm screaming and I'm saying, what are you doing? Get off me. And he's saying like, you're done. I'm so sick of you, so done with you. And I'm trying to kind of protect myself and get out of there. But also he's gripping his hand closed really hard. And there's a vial in his hand. So I was trying to pry his hand open so I could grab that vial out. Oh, I mean, I'm screaming and he's telling me, shut up. Nobody's going to hear you out here. Nobody's coming to save you. And I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike. They'll know this wasn't an accident and our kids will be orphans. You'll go to jail and I'll be dead. Like, you have to stop. And again, he's saying, like, you're done. We're done with you. We don't need you anymore. You're done. You're done. And I'm screaming and trying to defend myself physically. So I think I bit his forearm at one point trying to, that would have been his right forearm. And then I was also squeezing his testicles so I had my right hand trying to squeeze his testicles to get him to get off of me. And again, I was screaming, and so he's covering my mouth and stuff. And then we have this moment of like, it seems like he takes a deep breath. And then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
Did you see where the defendant got the rock from?
I didn't see where he got it from, but like spatially, he was like reaching up around this area of my head. So my impression was that there was a rock on the ground near my head that he was able to grab. I, at some point, hear a woman's voice say, we're here, we're calling 911. We're here, we're calling 911.
Okay, so after you hear that woman's voice, what happens?
He just kind of like, Gerhard just kind of froze and knelt back away from me. And I just crawled away really slowly. And again, he seemed just like frozen. And then I was yelling to the voices I heard, are you still there? Are you still there? Don't leave me. And I couldn't hear anybody calling anything back. So I just kept crab walking away. Like I'm on my butt, kind of like scooting. And I just kept going and got to like a lower part of the trail. The women were down there, and one of them was on the phone with emergency personnel.
As you crab walked away, did the defendant follow you?
No.
So as you crab walked away, did you see what the defendant did?
He just, like I said, he seemed frozen. He just kind of stood up and was staring. And then I didn't see where he went after that. He didn't follow me when I went down to those women. When I got to them, we were just trying to figure out how to get out of there as quickly as we could. And so they tried to stand me up to see if we could walk down with me kind of draped over them to get through, but I couldn't stand. Excuse me. That was just like an unstable. So one of them went behind me and was kind of sweeping to make sure he wasn't coming after us, visually scanning to make sure he wasn't coming after us. And then the other one was in front, leading us. And one of the women had like a large metal water bottle, and she had that in her hand, and she was like, this is the only weapon I have. But and then I crab walked or, kind of scooted down the whole trail with them on kind of either part to try to keep us safe.
Miraculously, Arielle survived the ordeal. The way she described the events, it sounds like something out of a movie. an anesthesiologist husband, takes her on a Hawaii trip and tries to inject her with an unknown syringe and throw her off the edge? I mean, it's a miracle she fought long enough for help to arrive. Her husband fled the scene, and as of right now, exactly 1 year later, Arielle has finally had her chance to take the stand in a trial against her former husband. She finally revealed all the grisly details: the push, the syringe, the rock, the words. The prosecution argues this was a calculated attempt to kill her, push her off the cliff, inject her if needed, finish the job with force. On the other side, the defense claims something very different: that it was a mutual physical altercation, a scuffle that spiraled out of control. Two completely different versions of reality. According to Arielle's husband, they walked the trail, and when they reached the top, Arielle got violent with him near the ledge. She then picked up and threw a rock at him, before he retaliated, throwing the rock back at her. He also claims there was no syringe, no premeditation, no attempt on her life. As of now, the trial is still ongoing. How it will end is completely unknown. Only one jury will decide which story is the truth. In the end, this case leaves behind questions that just don't sit comfortably. Was this planned or impulsive? Why bring a syringe on a hike, if there was a syringe at all? At what point did the situation become irreversible? And most haunting of them all, what happens when the person you trust the most becomes the person you have to fight off to survive? On that narrow trail in Hawaii, there was a moment where everything balanced on a knife's edge. 10 feet from the cliff, seconds from silence, but according to Arielle Konig, she refused to disappear, so she fought, she screamed, and against overwhelming odds, she lived. Now, I want to say briefly, Gerhard Konig has not been found guilty as of now. He is having his day in court, and ultimately, a jury of his peers will decide whether or not he is guilty of the crimes he is on trial for. Everything within my video today is alleged by Arielle Konig, and I will be watching and keeping a close eye on this trial to see how it all plays out in the end. With that said, did you enjoy today's video? If you did, please leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this case. At the same time, if you want to support me and the work that I do, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am a one-man show, and your support means the world to me, and it helps a lot. With that said, I want to send a big thank you to all of my channel members. Becoming a channel member really helps when the algorithm isn't pushing some of my content. With that all out of the way, I hope to see you all again next time when we head back into the cellar.